was completely humiliated, being pulled out of a car for the first time.
Don't believe me, believe that live video. You should be very proud that he is here helping you.
Welcome back to the LackLuster channel. Back in 2017, Patricia Wilson was driving to work when she was pulled over by Trooper Isaiah Lloyd with the Tennessee Highway Patrol for an alleged seatbelt violation.
Thank you for prescription medication or anything.
Then said that I looked like I was on drugs. Then proceeded to ask me if I was on drugs or alcohol.
No, I swear to God, I could say no, I'm telling you now.
I told him no drugs, no alcohol, nothing.
No drugs, no nothing, no alcohol. Yes, sir.
I am.
Sorry. What? I'm thinking of my mama over here. No. I do no drugs, no nothing.
Trooper Lloyd launches into a DUI investigation, asking questions about prescription medications and continuing an nystagmus test, alleging that Patricia's pupils were pinpoint.
No, the only thing I take. No, the only thing I take is, and that's it not, I take, what's the name of it? To help sleep. No, it's that word. What's the name of it? Yes. I mean, it's not something that I take every day, but I normally have to take it every other night, but I don't take any kind of narcotic or anything else. I can't sleep. It is? I told them specifically I wanted nothing narcotic. Well, I took that for, I think, not even a month, and I thought it didn't work for me. But, I don't even remember the name of it because where it's generic.
It's important to note that field sobriety tests are admissible in court. The grading for the tests are purely subjective, and depending on the officer's mood and general perception of you, the results can be easily used against you in court. You are not required to comply with field sobriety tests. However, refusing to perform them will likely end up in a suspension of your license, further investigations by the officer such as blood or breath tests, and a DUI arrest. Patricia elected to comply with the tests after making the mistake of offering information. During the stop, Trooper Isaiah Lloyd conducted a search of Patricia, who alleges that the trooper put his hand inside her shorts.
He had me spread my legs, put my hands on the hood of the car, told me to bend and arch my hips.
Swear to God.
I've never had anything like this happen, and I mean, I was completely humiliated, being pulled out of a car for the first time, being touched the way I was touched, in the areas that I was touched. He put his hands all the way down in the front of my pants, and then all the way around.
After the incident, Patricia was sent on her way. She went to work, and when returning home just 3 hours later, Trooper Lloyd spotted her vehicle and did a U-turn to follow her, pulling her over a second time. But on this traffic stop, his microphone was never turned on. Patricia alleges that the trooper approached and said, quote, "We have to stop meeting like this." And after a few minutes, Trooper Lloyd sent her on her way, reminding her that he had let her off of 2 tickets that day. Patricia filed a complaint and went on to sue the trooper and the department, and an investigation was opened for battery and sexual harassment claims. The agency cleared him within a few weeks, and no charges were pursued against him.
We have a decorated soldier that has been with the Highway Patrol for a long period of time that's made significant arrests for the population here, getting rid of drugs, immigrants that are being transported illegal, seizure of money, seizures of drugs, and now these allegations. What you'll conclude is that that video shows nothing more than what he was trained to do, and is probably a good model for training purposes for future troopers. We anticipate there being no criminal prosecution on behalf of the state of Tennessee against this young man. We anticipate that there will be no administrative problems, that he'll be returned to duty in the very near future. As far as we're concerned, this criminal investigation is over. This young man has done nothing wrong. You should be very proud that he is here helping you.
The taxpayers were kind enough to pay for Trooper Lloyd's attorney for the civil suit, without their consent, of course. Speaking of consent, during his deposition, Trooper Lloyd was questioned about another complaint, in which a concerned father filed a complaint on behalf of his daughter for a similar incident. The trooper said that he had pulled that woman over for speeding, and that he put his fingers inside her waistband to search for contraband and weapons, though probable cause for either didn't exist. Rooted in the Supreme Court case of Terry v. Ohio, if an officer believes a person to be armed and dangerous, they can conduct a cursory pat-down of the exterior of a suspect's clothing, and in this case, Trooper Lloyd never met the legal requirements to conduct a Terry frisk, let alone something that would allow the officer to search under the woman's clothing during either incident. However, the trooper does claim that he has since learned that if he is going to search under a female or anyone else's clothing without their consent, that he has to have a reason to do so, which is something that you'd imagine would be taught in the first day or so in the academy. But it later became clear that Trooper Lloyd knew nearly nothing about the Constitution or civil rights, and that he believed that he was trained that a pat-down for weapons is the same for a pat-down for contraband. Even his lieutenant, Stacy Heatherly, thought that he acted appropriately and did not violate Patricia's right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures, and she has since been promoted to captain. The department eventually settled the lawsuit, but in April of 2018, Trooper Lloyd stopped showing up for court hearings and grand jury appearances. The very next month, without legal cause, he kicked in a homeowner's back door and secretly returned to repair it, and then lied about the incident in his statements afterward. Then in July, with no training on the subject, he took over negotiations with an armed murderer, and he, along with 2 other officers, ended up fatally shooting the man, but he was reprimanded and given a 1-day suspension. 2 months later, in August, an Anderson County prosecutor insisted that he refused to prosecute any more of this guy's cases. So of course, the department just moved him to a new county. And despite all of that happening in just a couple of months, the department kept him, only deciding to fire him when he showed up for a formal disciplinary hearing in shorts and a baseball cap while chewing tobacco. It was also noted that his record had multiple policy violations for failing to record interactions and bad handling of evidence, but the Tennessee Highway Patrol just allowed him to resign instead. Later, the lawsuit settlement included a suspension of his law enforcement certification for a 2-year period, and in 2022, post-commission members reviewed this case and asked to ensure that Lloyd would be required to go through a transitory school in the event that he was hired for another job in law enforcement, and they lifted the suspension.
When you get the video, watch the video, and you'll be able to evaluate the totality of the circumstances. And when he did it, his palms of his hands were out as he rotated through the waistband like every other police officer would do to you, to me, and to themselves. Watch the video, draw your own conclusions. But I wish that my prayer is that don't condemn this gentleman until you know the rest of the story. He has done nothing wrong, and I'm very honored and proud to represent him.
Only Trooper Lloyd knows the intent of his actions that day, but the circumstances leave a lot of unanswered questions, especially with more than one complainant. The only thing that is certain is that Patricia's civil rights were violated, and whether the search was indecent or not, it should have never happened in the first place. It's also clear that the Tennessee Highway Patrol failed to train their troopers adequately enough to prevent their constituents from being forced to pay for its acts of tyranny, such as this.
Swear to God.
Nevertheless, despite the ex-trooper's sordid past, the elected officials in the town of La Follette, Tennessee, voted to hire Isaiah Lloyd as a full-time officer.
The La Follette City Council voted 3-1 to promote Isaiah Lloyd as a full-time patrol officer. He worked for the Tennessee Highway Patrol from 2015 to 2018. He's accused of mishandling drugs and money, missing court dates, and lying to his superiors. The city administrator and the chief of police both made the recommendation to promote to full-time.
So, let me know what you think. Should Lloyd have been given a second chance? And what the heck is wrong with the town of La Follette? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, be sure to check out one of the other ones linked on screen.